What's going on, YouTube? Zero Elite here, back again with a new video. Episode 64, the Disco Era u.s.s Enterprise tutorial. I just want to thank you very much for tuning into today's episode, and if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And today we're going to be focusing on some last minute things on the outside of our ship. We're going to be mostly working on the front end of our lower hull right behind the deflector dish, and then we're also going to be adjusting getting rid of this dark gray line along the neck that's sticking out and replacing that with white quartz. One thing I did, tiny minuscule thing I did off camera, um, was I made one tiny change to the airlocks on the outside. And it's such a minute change that this is something that you can do on your ship without even watching the tutorial. But if you look at the two doorways here, you'll see that there's actually a row, three blocks wide that's perfectly lined up with the doorway. And it's the same thing on the bottom one. On your guys' ship, going back to when we worked on this top block here is gone and it goes in with a cut. Same thing underneath here. So to match this up with what I have, all you're going to do is walk up to your doorway, look up, and then build three blocks going wide to match up with your doorway. Same thing with the bottom. You're going to match it up with the floor. Excuse me. And it should come out perfect. And just do for right now, you can do just regular lamps on each side of it, actual candles, and it'll look great. But right now, we're going to focus on our neck. We're going to swap out this dark gray line with white quartz, and I think it's going to look a lot better if we make this change. Now, this is definitely going to be something that you're going to be doing when you're working on the exterior of your ship. I know some of you might be thinking, oh, we're slightly backtracking a little bit. We're really not. This is just really the meat of it when you're working on a ship this size. There's going to be times when you're going to be making small changes to the outside as you're building it. And I really feel like just looking at the line of the neck, that this dark gray line is just really making it stick out. But I don't want to make this line a light gray like it is with the line above it, and I don't want to make it white quartz, or excuse me, not white quartz, white concrete like the line below it. So we want to use just regular quartz, because that's still going to be a light color, but it's going to differentiate between the gray and then the white concrete below it. But it's not going to be so dark and loud like this dark gray is and stick out like a sore thumb. It's going to be subtle, just like our airlock doors, but it's still going to give the texturing in the hull that we want, but it's going to be subtle texturing. But that's something that is definitely present on the TOS version of the Enterprise. You don't see a ton of hull lines all over the ship. The lines that it does have, it has very subtle lines on it. A lot of very light lines, so that's one of the reasons why you can see I'm using a lot of lighter colors on this build rather than darker colors, because I'm trying to transition that idea over into the build. And I think when we're done with the right side of the neck and we zoom out and take a look, I think it's actually going to look so much better than what we had before. I mean, we could have left it as it is, but I don't think this is one of those cases where people wouldn't have batted an eye at. I think that this was probably the one time where I can honestly say that this is, if we would have left it as is, people are going to be like, why did they have such a dark line in the front of the neck? It wasn't really necessary. But we don't need to make any changes to the actual design of it, as you're seeing, just making a cosmetic change to the color itself and then calling it a day. But I think just making that change alone, it looks fantastic. So let's zoom out, take a look at it, see what we got going on here. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And the other thing is, it doesn't blend in those cuts, because that's why I'm using three different colors right here. The gray with the white quartz, and then the white concrete. So this way, this middle row in here doesn't blend in with either the gray above it or the white concrete below it. Because we would have had it the same color, you wouldn't be seeing those cuts right there. It would just blend right in with the other color, the other row below it. So now we're going to move into the second part of our video here. Kind of going a little bit fast here. We don't have a super long video today. We've only about 13 minutes, but we still have some stuff to do. What we're going to be focusing on now is these two lines right here. That's right behind our deflector dish. We're going to be adding them right around here. I think that that about matches up perfectly with what we have, or what we need to have. So I'm going to start right here on this cut, and we're actually going to start right where this candle is and then work our way up. But we're going to stop on the row where it goes double wide back, and you'll see what I mean as we get up there. So we're going to add our torch back, and we're going to start taking our cuts out going up. Just make sure taking out one row only. Don't want to do more than one row going back. All right, now we're on double wide going back. This is the row we're stopping on. So once you get to that row on your build also, make sure to stop. Because you look at the picture here, this line does not go all the way up. Now, I am going to make this line going all the way down the side of the ship in this video. You can see here that it doesn't go all the way down. We will probably build this piece right here. This is going to be one of the last minute things that we need to add to the ship to make it perfectly accurate. But other than that, once we do this detailing bit here and then this part, the only thing that's really going to be left to do at this point, I think, is the registration number on the outside. We still have a little bit of work to do on the inside, but we're going to be hopping into that in tomorrow's episode. We're going to be finishing up the, I believe, if not all of it, the main deck of engineering, and then we've got some other rooms to do. I think we're going to be working on the other levels of engineering too, and then we've also got the bowling alley to do. And then I've got to hop on and start recording new sessions, because then I'll be out of pre-recorded sessions. But still, that's not going to, it shouldn't impede the flow of videos that I have going on. I'm just going to have to get on at least 2 days this week to record some sessions for everybody, to make sure I have content to keep this going. But we're definitely starting to wind down a little bit here. Now, to hop back in what I got going on, I'm starting to add our second row of this line here. And what all I did was I literally just went forward by 2, so I skipped 1. So if you count on the line that we started with, it's the third one forward. So there's going to be a row of white concrete in between them, but it should perfectly match the picture. So if you imagine this row right here is gray, and this row is gray, and then this middle one is white concrete, that's what you should have right there. And we're going to do the same thing. We went almost all the way up until we hit our double wide row of walls, or excuse me, of blocks. And on going down, I believe we're gonna bring this all the way down to the bottom. So then we're gonna start our cuts going downward. All right, now we're working on the first line. We're gonna bring this. Of course, we want to replace the torch so we have some light. I apologize for the darkness. This is one of the older recording sessions. Let's swap out that light again so we get some light in here, and then we'll do our light gray line. And now we're going to start up the other side on the actual left side of the ship. You see my placement is perfect. All right. So we just need to get that light replaced, and then we'll continue our gray line down the middle on this side, and then we're going to go up here in just a second. All right, now we can start our cut going up. Remember, we're going to stop as soon as we hit double wide back. You want to make sure that you build going all the way back on that double wide. You don't want to go any higher than that. You can see how I match that up. We're on the double wide on this row on the front. I'm literally just skipping one. That's another way that you can match it up if you're having trouble. But this is pretty self-explanatory. You shouldn't have any excuse me, you shouldn't have any issues adding in these two rings. This was pretty easy to add, but it's really going to pay off. It's a subtle change that we're making, but this is just going to be one of the other areas that we can really help bring out the detailing on our ship. And I think if we didn't add these two rows of rings in, it wouldn't have been. I don't think it would have looked as nearly as detailed. I think that these two rings definitely add a different level of detailing, at least on the lower section of the lower hull. All right, now on the lower ring, or excuse me, on the front ring, you see I'm bringing that all the way around on the bottom, but we're just not doing it on the top. And that looks pretty good. I think that's pretty close with what the picture is. You see that perfectly matches. Well, not perfectly, but it's about as much as that we can make it. But I definitely think that works for what we have. You can see I'm kind of reevaluating this area here because what I'm thinking right now is that this specific area right here doesn't quite match what I have going on in the picture. So what we're going to do to fix that is we're going to build out 3 wide, or excuse me, 4 forward, 5 forward. On the 5th one down, we're going to cut it. You can see I'm actually going with the cut right here, but I'm going to have to move that up just a little bit, I think, just to have it match, just up by 1. There we go. Let's get rid of that one right there just to have that top part match the bottom. You can see I'm just adding the layer on here. This way I'm not committing too much to it in the moment. I'm just trying to visualize in my head if this is going to look good enough, if I like the shape of this. Um, and now I'm thinking that I kind of like what I got going on, at least enough to do it to the left side of the ship. So we're just going to repeat that same process again. See, I'm second guessing myself a little bit on my design, so I'm just hopping back over to the right side just to make sure that my left side matches. There's no shame in it, and if you're not sure, go back and check because it will definitely save you from making errors in your build. And we're going to get rid of that extra behind it. We don't want to go into the cut that we have already on the hull. Just behind that row, we just want to get rid of the blocks behind it that we added on. So this way they'll kind of look like part of this is kind of like just like floating off of it. And we're just going to fill in innards, and then we're going to get rid of this back line. I'm going to have to get rid of that block right there too. All right, now that's looking pretty good. That looks good enough, so we'll fill that in now on the right side. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get rid of the extra line right here. Just stopping right at the cut right here on both sides. I think that subtle change right there, that definitely helps to bring out that extra detail there. I mean, I think that really sells it. The only thing we might have to get rid of right here is that dark single block. That's on the smooth quartz row. I believe that was an outline from when we were first building out our deflector early on when we first started our lower hull. So we're just now going back and getting rid of those guidelines. But I think this thing is coming out awesome for what it is. And you see, just making those little changes on the fly like that can really help bring out the detailing of your ship. And again, this all just comes into how many pictures you have for your references. Because again, these references, this is where your details coming in. And the more you pay attention to these little things, you don't have to get every single little detail, but looking at your ship and what you have, and then looking at the pictures and thinking, okay, what do I have on my ship that I can that what is it missing from the picture, and what can I add that'll look good on the ship? And I think this part right here, I think it would have been a mistake not to have it on here. It's definitely on the Enterprise, and I think that is just an extra layer right there and helping to bring the ship to life just a little bit more. You see, I'm looking at bringing this gray line up literally just by one more row, because I just kind of want to look at it from the side and see if it looks any better. Because by the picture, that line, those two lines, they came kind of like right up to this part right here, because this is like on this Enterprise, the neck comes down here and then it swishes down and then kind of forward going down the front of the lower hull a little bit. So that's what this piece here is supposed to be, kind of like the continuation of the neck. These two lines, they don't go over it, but they come pretty close. Yeah, this thing is definitely coming together, and we're definitely going down the checklist. I think that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think we can now call the outside of the lower hull done. And in tomorrow's episode, in episode 65, we'll be focusing on updating, making a small tweak to the inside of our main engineering deck. And then after that, we have a little bit more work to do on our other rows, or excuse me, our other levels of engineering. And then the other interiors that we have to do, we have to build out our, let's see, we have to work on our the bowling alley. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart there for a second. We have to work on the bowling alley. We have to work on the mess hall, crew quarters, and there's not just one. We have to work on uh, admiral's quarters, captain's quarters, first officer's quarters, and then general crew. And then we also have to build out the torpedo room. That's going to be important, and that'll be in the front of the ship. But if there's anything else that you would like to see me build for this tutorial, be sure to drop a comment below. This is definitely the time to ask me to add something to this ship on the interior while I'm still working on it, because once I'm finished with this, I'm going to be moving on to other ships and doing other tutorials, and I won't be doing any more tutorials on the Discovery Enterprise. So I'm trying to cover as much as I can. So if there's anything else you want to see me build on this specific tutorial, make sure to drop a comment. If I'm not being specific enough in the description of the build while I'm building something on here, if you get stuck, drop a comment below. I'll try to see what I can do to help you out. I'm usually pretty responsive in the comment section. If I don't get back to your comment, chances are I've either already answered it in the comment section or I'm getting ready to answer it in a video. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. The last thing to go over is don't forget to tune in tomorrow for episode 65. In fact, you can always catch new Minecraft episodes Tuesdays through Fridays. And don't forget to tune in next Monday for my next Starship Evo build. In fact, you can always catch new new Starship Evo episodes on Mondays. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I just want to thank you again for tuning into today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me and supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for it, and all the support and comments I get, and views and subscriptions definitely means a lot to me. So thank you very much for that. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day and stays happy and safe. And I will catch you on the next episode.